Hello, my name is Carl Bailey, and my presentation today will be covering computer crimes and fraud. The topics that I will be covering as part of the presentation will be definition of terms. I'll talk about history. I'll talk a little bit about the cost of cybercrime, the types of crime that people are committing. I'll talk about the laws that try to prevent these crimes. I'll talk a little bit about personal prevention and then conclusion. The definition of a computer crime is a crime where a computer has been used in the commission of a crime, such as identity theft, or it may be the target of a crime, such as a virus. These are offenses that are committed against individuals or groups of individuals with a criminal motive. It is intentional harm to the reputation of the victim or to cause personal or mental harm. Fraud is intended to deceive others, typically by unjustifiably claiming or being credited with accomplishments or qualities. It is wrongful or criminal deception intended to result in financial or personal gain. Fraud itself can be a civil wrong, where a victim may sue to recover monetary compensation. It can also be a criminal wrong, where the perpetrator may be prosecuted and imprisoned by government authorities for illegal acts. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of cybercrime. It really started in the 1960s, where a group of MIT students used the term hacking to modify the operation of their model trains. They discovered ways to change certain functions without re-engineering the entire device. They went on to work on early computer systems where they applied their resources to changing computer code. In the 1970s, computers were rapidly advancing and hackers were learning how to advance their hacking skills also. The hackers that were originally using their skills for fun were finding new ways to cause intentional harm. In the 1980s, computers were becoming much more widely used and computer crimes were becoming more frequent. The intent of the computer hacker at this time was primarily to harm systems or steal data. Congress responded by passing its first hacking-related legislation, the Federal Computer Fraud and Abuse Act in 1986. This act made computer tampering a felony crime punishable by significant jail time and monetary fines. By the 1990s, there was a transition to cybercrime. The internet continued to grow and was now commonly used in schools, homes, businesses, financial institutions, and governments that crossed political and cultural boundaries. Digital technology provided this connectivity and gave its users many valuable benefits. At the same time, it provided a rich environment for criminal activity, ranging from vandalism to stolen identity to classified government information. In the present day, cybercrime will continue to be present in our society regardless of our best efforts. Many cybercrimes are difficult to detect and are detected only after events occur where millions of records are stolen. I'd like to talk a little bit about the cost of computer crime. A cybercrime event in the U.S. costs a company an average of about $15.4 million. Cybercrimes in the U.S. are much more costly than in any other country. The annual cost of cybercrime and economic espionage to the world economy is $4.45 billion a year, or 1% of our global income. The US, Germany, and China account for approximately $200 billion of that money. Much of that is due to theft of intellectual property by foreign governments. One of the more infamous crimes was the one that hit Target, Neiman Marcus, and other retailers. On January 12th, it was determined that there was a massive data breach on retail locations across the country. The attackers had installed malware on point-of-sale systems, which allowed them to collect credit card information. They used a highly sophisticated set of tools to intercept the payment data and then transfer the stolen information to servers controlled by the criminals. The malware injected itself into running systems at stores to identify credit card track data and copy it during the narrow window where the customer swiped the card to make payment. It was then transferred to servers based in Russia. The attackers intercepted 110 million records worth of data. The next thing I'd like to talk about is the types of crimes. The U.S. Department of Justice categorizes the types of computer crimes in 3 different ways. The computer as a target, and an example of this would be attacking the computers of others by spreading viruses or an attack on a website. These would include worms, Trojan horses, or anything that would destroy software or security of the security of the system. The computer as a weapon. This would be using a computer to commit traditional crimes such as fraud, illegal gambling, online pornography, sexting, identity theft, or hacking. The third is using the computer as an accessory or a device that contains data incidental to the crime. This would be using the computer as a method to obtain illegal or stolen information. This could be gathering classified information, using it for illegal purposes. The laws that try to prevent against computer crimes. The first one is aggravated identity theft. This is when a person knowingly transfers, possesses, or uses without lawful authority a means of identification of another person. The law includes theft of social security numbers, bank account numbers, driver's licenses, passports, or any other means of identification stolen from individuals. The amount of identity theft in the U.S. in 2015 was $16 billion, stolen from 12.7 million U.S. consumers. There is a new identity fraud victim every 2 seconds. The next one is fraud and related activity in connection with computers. That is having knowingly accessed a computer without authorization or exceeding authorized access. This is related to hacking into home computers, business computers, government computers, and obtaining information that could be personal, classified, or obtaining intellectual property. The next one is fraud by wire, radio, or television. Wire fraud shares many characteristics with regular fraud, though it is committed through the use of phone lines or any other wires utilizing electric communication. Wire fraud is committed in order to defraud another person out of money or something else of value. Wire fraud is a federal crime. Obscene visual representation of sexual abuse of children. A person who knowingly produces, distributes, receives, or possesses with intent to distribute a visual description of any kind, including a drawing, cartoon, sculpture, or painting that depicts a minor engaging in sexually explicit conduct. This is a law regarding child pornography with intent to create or distribute for public or private use. We have discussed in class the case of Apple and their fight against writing software that would allow someone to unlock an iPhone. If that code got into the wrong hands, it could be disastrous for the general public, as we store more and more information onto our phones, including access to bank accounts, our contact information, and personal information. With this type of information, it would be relatively easy for someone to steal our identity. While this code may never come to fruition, below are a few tips to protect yourself from being a victim to identity theft. Ensure that your websites are secure before submitting a credit card number. Never throw away a bank statement. In a usable form, you should always shred your bank statements. Be aware of any missed bills that could indicate an account has been taken over. Be cautious of scams requiring personal information. Never give out a credit card over the phone unless you initiate the call. Review a copy of your credit report at least annually. Report unauthorized transactions to bank or credit card companies as soon as possible. In conclusion, cybercrime will no doubt continue to evolve and expand in the next few years as technology continues to evolve. It is hard to predict what will happen in the upcoming years as technology and threats change constantly. The number of attacks on individuals, businesses, and governments will continue to increase and become more severe. Cybercriminals will become more technology savvy and will continue to seek profit from their acts or harm other computer systems. The cost associated with cybercrimes will increase as businesses and organizations face more attacks. Losses associated with the theft of intellectual property will also increase as more people around the world connect to the internet. A successful attack on cybercrime must include multiple avenues. It will require new legislation, international cooperation. Individuals and businesses must also take actions to protect themselves from becoming victims of cybercrime. It will also require stronger efforts from the FBI, Department of Justice, and Homeland Security. Thank you for your time, and thank you for watching my presentation.